it feels like the league's over sometimes because of how good Manchester City are.
You're saying what went wrong and Arsenal still won the game, didn't they? That's the level this team's at now.
Would you start Rice, Mourinho and Odegaard?
Yeah, if everyone was fit, that would be
Yeah, that's a big call, you know.
Timber v Salah for me would be a very... If I was picking someone to go against Salah, I think he'd be, out of all the defenders, I think he'd be the one.
Win on Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have full confidence.
Last week, we desperately wanted the international break to end, but 1 week after a loss in the Premier League and an uninspiring win in the Champions League, maybe we could go back? Here to unpack a tricky few days are Arsenal podcaster Clive Palmer, the Evening Standard's football writer Simon Collings and digital creator Joel Beya. So guys, before we dive into the Shakhtar and Bournemouth games, what's your general assessment of Arsenal right now?
Whoa, that's a tough one. But the first thing that comes to my mind really is how healthy are we, right, for the games that are coming up? What we've seen so far, we've seen a lot of our performances dictated by health, dictated by suspensions, dictated by playing with 10 men. And I almost feel like I haven't seen the team yet. You know, I have a very joyous day. And even when we beat PSG in the Champions League, it's like, okay, that's great, but how exciting was it due to the format change, etc. So, yeah, it feels like I feel a little bit down about it. I don't know why, considering we only lost one game in like 10 years, it feels like. So, but I'm able to suck the joy out of that. And so, yeah, I feel a little bit flat at the moment.
But I think that's what it is, isn't it? It feels like it's our first loss in, I mean, it's not 10 years, but it feels like 10 years. So what about you guys? Where are your heads at?
Yeah, I think Arteta spoke about it this week in his press conference and said, let's look at the context of where we are. It's first defeat in 6 months and try and take some stock of the team. And I think the big thing, as Clive was saying, is you haven't seen the Arsenal team in the summer you thought you would see. And I kind of feel these last two games have really shown the importance of Saka and Odegaard. You know, if you take out your two best attacking players, if you did that at Manchester City with Haaland and Foden or Haaland and De Bruyne, you would see the impact. So I'm not surprised that they're struggling in creativity. The concern I have now is going into a game like Liverpool. How do you manage that against a team who look like they're title contenders? And I think this will be a real test of how Arsenal's squad is deep enough to compete this season.
Nice words, guys. Let's keep it real a little bit here. I think there's two things. You have the now issues, like what you guys are talking about, the injuries and, you know, recent form, etc. But I think the bigger thing is, without people noticing, every loss, so for example against Bournemouth, it feels like the league's over sometimes because of how good Manchester City are. Yeah. You know, and because of the hurt we've had the season before and the season before that, obviously 2 years ago it was more our fault more than anything, but we know how tight it is. And if we haven't learned from those 2 seasons, we know how difficult it is because of Liverpool Football Club. I mean, we've seen them finish with like, what was it, 91 points and they still don't win. So that's why every game that you throw away, every red card, everything that's a little bit tight, it causes us to panic. Yes, we've got injuries. I think that's massive. Now we can see that we do miss Odegaard. But the key thing is that there's no wiggle room. And I did one thing yesterday. After Man City played, I watched them and I saw that they smashed their opposition 5-0. I thought, ooh, saw the karate kick by Haaland. And it's just things like that I don't think we get out of our minds. That's what I think overall.
It feels like that Fulham loss last season and as well as that Villa loss. And I mean, that's nearly a year ago, that Fulham loss, and we won't go into it, but that's how it feels. And I think it is because we're not used to losing at the moment. But anyway, let's move on from that and let's look at the Shakhtar game. So obviously we had the opportunity to bounce back from the weekend and get some confidence ahead of Liverpool. Clive, what went wrong?
What, against Shakhtar?
Yeah.
Well, we started okay and we were quite bright, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is normal service resumed. We scored our goal and we left, it should have been 2 by half-time. But then, you start to look at the sort of the flatness of performance second half. Thomas Partey moves out of centre midfield, we lose a little bit of control, Marino comes in, he's still getting up to speed. And I'm looking at it thinking, okay, when's his second goal coming? When's it coming? And it didn't come. And we ended up relying on a very good save towards the end to maybe hold the result. So we've won again, another 3 points. We're at the right place in the Champions League table. But I walked out of there again feeling a little bit underwhelmed on performance. But then you listen to Arteta's interview post-game And he explained it beautifully about the fatigue from Saturday night into Tuesday night, not really taking advantage of the first half and maybe leaving a couple of goals on the table. When I got in the car, I thought, yeah, I feel a bit better now, you know, but I was still, when I walked out, I wanted to see a little bit more.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sums it up that you're saying what went wrong and Arsenal still won the game, didn't they? That's the level this team's at now, where if they don't blow away in opposition, you know, the feeling is that the team's not clicking. And I think it was in those opening sort of 10, 15 minutes, felt like Shakhtar had come to play, like the keeper was playing out from the back, defence in that. And then suddenly, you know, Arsenal had a bit of joy. Calafiori scores that goal after 5-6 minutes, different game. Yeah. And I think Shakhtar realised, hang on a minute, look, we shouldn't go toe-to-toe with these guys. Let's sit off, let's play deep. And they set up that low block. And I'm going to come back to it, but when there's no Odegaard, no Saka, the players who can break that down is where Arsenal really struggle. And I kind of feel like it was a symptomatic problem of the lack of creativity when those two players aren't in the team. And it was another struggle from the same at the Bournemouth game where, you know, you couldn't really break a team down. And that is the big issue, I think, when they're missing those two players. Mm-hmm. Who is going to be the man to unlock a defence?
Might as well not ask me, because I agree with what they both said, but it's the truth. I think, you know, Clive mentioned shifting Partey right back, and, you know, you kind of look and immediately the balance seemed like it was gone a little bit. Moreno, we can't be harsh on him. Like, he's just coming in, you know. We have to give players time. You can't judge someone by a game, not that game anyway. And again, creativity, yes, we are missing it a little bit. But I think for me, what was worrying was how clinical we were in front of goal. And I don't like to single people out here, but I think we need to start analysing Gabriel Jesus' contributions. He hasn't scored yet this season. And yes, what you know about Gabriel, he's always going to work hard for you. He wears the badge, lovely fella, you know, from when you see him, etc. But on the pitch, I'm supposed to think we've got rid of Eddie Nketiah, we've kept him, and we've got Kai Havertz, and yes, we've got Trossard as our false nine. I need to be seeing goals from everyone. Kai can get a blight because he's been Kai, you know. He's been great for us. Trossard does his job, finishes his dinner the majority of the times. He's missed it, it's not been great. Cool. By the way, I don't even know if he should have been taking that penalty, but I digress. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it. But when you look at, you need him to be banging in goals, man. If we're going to be winning this league, because that's what we want to do, you want to win the Champions League, but also the league, we need him to start firing quickly, especially with how lucky we've been with Saka being fit over the last few years. That's one of my biggest concerns. So
I want to talk about Gabriel Jesus. What about you guys? What do you two think?
Yeah, so I was sort of up and down with him. Basically, I thought he should have played against Bournemouth.
Be honest, Clive.
No, I'm coming. I thought he should have played against Bournemouth, so I was really disappointed he didn't start the game. So I had worries about that game, and we'll come on to that a bit later. But against Shakhtar, I thought he started the game quite brightly, but he hasn't scored a goal since January 2024. This is a senior player, a senior pro, just won 4 Premier League titles, somebody that we bought for just this moment, now to help us get over the line. This isn't the time for you to lose your confidence. This is the time for you to find it, because this team needs you right now with some of our attackers that are missing. And I thought he started bright, he worked hard. His performance looked better when I got home rather than in the stadium. It looked much sharper, particularly at the start. He was unlucky not to score, should have scored. So unlucky not to score, Joel should have scored. You know, you can, whatever line you want to be on, that needs to go in for him. And then we get him again. We need him. Wherever we got 6 forwards, and one Sterling and one is him. Trossard, who's doing his job, what I call the backup 3, you know what I mean? So we need those 2 senior guys that have won medals to really bring it this year.
That's true.
Whatever we decide, whatever we think we are, we're not going to do it without Gabriel Jesus. So I think it's an incredibly important focus for us. It really is.
Just need him to get back to the player he was when he first came. You know, I remember Arteta speaking about that and saying he changed our world. That was how he described Jesus. And even last season there were games. You remember that Sevilla game in the Champions League away from home? Yep. Brilliant. Nottingham Forest was his last goal. You know, he scored after that, and he actually spoke to us, a few journalists after, and said, look, I'm trying to change my game because I realise I need to be that penalty box striker. I need to score more goals. And then he gets injured. And that, for me, has been his story. Whenever he's had that moment, even the Sevilla game, he's injured after that. And the frustrating thing is this summer he actually worked so hard, you know, wasn't away with Brazil, he got fit, has a setback in August, and, you know, he's now trying to get back to full fitness sharpness. I think he needs 3-4 months where he is fully fit, and has a proper go at him, because this is a key moment for him.
3-4 months. I support my players like you do. We're all on the same side here, everyone watching. But 3-4 months, we need people scoring now.
Yeah.
I think
when Saka's injured and he's provided, 5-6 goals this season, 4 assists. When he's out of the team and the threat that he brings, ideally, Gabriel Jesus should be the perfect person to fill in there, ideally. And we have to call it as it is. It's not bashing our players because we love them, but at the same time, we just have to keep it real. Yes, we're playing 4-4-2 at the moment. That might be a little bit different, but he's a hard worker, man. He should be able to contribute.
But this is this chunk I would judge him on now, this period now. He's literally just come back from injury. This is the period now where you can judge him over this run and say he's fit. If you deliver now, then that's it, isn't it?
I think the great example is Gabriel Martinelli, actually, because it wasn't so long ago when he was down and we were watching him and wondering whether he was going to come back. And he worked through it. Even against Spurs, he missed that chance with Van der Ven chasing him down. He worked through it. And now he's back to a place where on Sunday, we are hopeful he's on form because we know he's an important player.
Clive, I gave him till Christmas. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I gave him till Christmas, and you are 100% right there. I think the game that turned around for him was the Man City game.
Yeah,
where you saw he worked really hard, and you thought, oh, that's the boy we need. And then since then, I guess maybe it's the expectation from us as fans as well, because how are we giving players like, well, I know it's me, but how are we giving players like Martinelli till Christmas? I think, like what you said, Simon, we expect to be on top now. We know that there's no margins for error, or there's small margin for error. And I guess maybe do we need to relax on them a little bit, or do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm harder on the senior players, if I'm honest with you. On the younger players, I think, yeah, you got time. You haven't done this before. On the senior players, I'm a little bit harder. The guys who have 3 or 4 contracts, I'm a little bit harder on those players. And those who listen to me, you know this. I'm consistent with this. I also know what we need to do, the things we have in our mind, the trophies we want to win. We're not going to do it without those guys. That's where I am with it. So very important.
So Martinelli obviously had a really great game against Shakhtar. He scored our goal and looked like our most dangerous player throughout. So what do you think of his performance then, while we're on him talking about Shakhtar?
I thought he looked threatening, especially in the beginning. Again, yes, it counts as an own goal, but I looked at it and I was just like, it's not really an own goal, just give it to him. But because of the rules, it's an own goal. But I think he's just shown what he's been showing in the last 3-4 games. And we all know that he performs well against Liverpool. So I think he's going to be a massive key player when we play them on Sunday. I just need him to carry on doing what he's doing, putting in the effort, he's obviously a great joy to have for the players around, the dressing room, everything. He just needs to carry on working hard. Like Clive says, work his way through the bad times, which he's obviously come out of it now. And that's what you can ask from him.
Yeah, what was noticeable in the stadium was, he was really lifting the crowd. His body language was so positive. And so when I'm looking at Jesus, I'm thinking, okay, you're a little bit, body language looks a little bit low. I remind myself that Martinelli was there a little while ago. And now he literally led the team offensively in this game. And he took it upon himself to be the person that everyone followed. For a young man, that's a really positive sign. So he's coming through it. One more game, son, on Sunday. I'm not going to say he's through it. He's coming through it. His chance conversion still needs to go up a little bit for us because we still want to score more goals, and he has had a 15-goal season. So I'm looking for a little bit more goals, but he's doing well.
I think that's big for him as well because of the Bournemouth game. When he had that chance at 0-0 and he missed that. And Arteta sticks with him and says, right, you're starting the next game. And Martinelli responds and wins man of the match. I think that is a sign of where he is, because he could have easily taken that Bournemouth game, head down, but to come in next game, be the best player on the pitch, I think that kind of says where he is at the moment.
Yeah.
So then let's move on to Leandro Trossard. So obviously following his red card at the Etihad last month, he then was at fault for the play that led to Saliba's red card. And then on Tuesday night, he actually missed the penalty. So they do say that bad things come in threes. So let's hope that those 3 things are now done and dusted. But what are your thoughts about him at the moment?
When you say it like that, it's all his fault. No, seriously. The City red card. Should I go over that again? I thought he was unfortunate. I think he was still competing for the ball and tried to pull out. He got punished for that. I do think the red card, I think the Saliba one really bothered me, actually. The lack of care in that pass was not great. It came to surprise everybody. But he's somebody, every time I want to sort of think, you know what, he's not for me, he then sticks away in the top corner. And I think he's a very hard player to read. He's almost like our own sort of maverick player. 1 minute he's great, comes off the bench, does great. Next time he starts, can't find him. And I'm every time I want to get a consistent set of games from him, I struggle with him. But I will say, this interior role, when he's playing like a double false nine with Kai, I think suits him a lot. I think we've seen the best run of games from him, even though there's been a few incidents that we could all hang our hat on.
I don't want to hear no Trossard slander. I honestly, like, I was even disappointed that this was a question, just because he's just done so well for us. And yes, we can't ignore the fact that a high level of concentration is needed, which is what I think my friend Clive here was trying to say, like, take care a little bit, because when you're, again, I keep saying competing at such a high level where almost every game needs to be won, you know, it becomes difficult in that sense. You can't make sloppy passes in key areas, especially in big games. But overall, how many times has he saved us? You know, even him missing the pen, I just thought, I don't even think we should be making a big deal out of it. I don't think he should have been taking it. But at the same time, I don't think we should be. If anyone deserves to go, no, you know what, it's my turn to have a chance, then it is him as well. So it does show character. So I think, I know you're going to answer your opinion, but I think we should politely part there.
I just think with Trossard, we could do this show in 2 weeks' time and be talking about how brilliant Trossard is.
Exactly.
He's just that kind of player where it fluctuates so much, and maybe that's the one issue with him is the consistency. But I'm thinking back end of last season, that title charge, he was close to one of the best players in the last 10 games. He was brilliant. You know, he locked down that left side, and you think where he's played false nine, he's playing this new role now. What he's done for that team, I think he's someone who deserves a bit of slack, and he's going through a difficult moment. I mean, the Saliba one was just interesting because I just couldn't work out what he's trying to do. I had no idea what. I think it's just a bit of brain fog, and he made a mistake. But yeah, if there's someone who can be cut some slack, I think it's probably Leandro.
Not his performances for Belgium, though. Those were shocking. But that's nothing to do with me, so it's all good.
So then let's move on to the penalty. Why didn't Kai Havertz take the penalty, do you think?
I don't know. We're all sitting there watching it, and I'm thinking, okay. By the way, I forgot about that record of home.
Yeah, that's why I thought he would take it. The record, I thought. And
wow, he's very good at them. Even from a pre-season game, I think he may have against Seville. When he was low in confidence, he stuck in the top corner. And I'm thinking, well, he's a dead set. I think he scored 20 out of 21 penalties. And we chose to go somewhere else. to your mate, I'm joking. and so, yeah, I just don't think it makes sense. And it sort of annoyed me. Just do things properly. You know, just do it properly. Yeah. Get your guy out there. Just do it properly. It's not a problem. And Trossard, he could be our best finisher. So it's not an issue if he scores, right? If he doesn't score, then everyone flips their opinion. So,
no, but you're right. Do it properly.
Do it properly. He's the guy.
I just think it's if you look at, I hope Kundi, Kweku and Olivia don't see this, because otherwise they're going to be happy. But if you look at last season when Chelsea, there was the arguments with Cole Palmer and Madueke and Nicholas Jackson. No. Cole Palmer was the main man. Yeah. He steps up and he takes the pens. He's got the record. He's the one on fight. He's got to take it. And I criticised Poch a lot for that, if I'm honest with you, because I just thought, don't know if he's for me when I see things like that. And I think, like what you're saying, just do it properly. We've got a system. You don't need to share the goals between the two of you. You're both doing just fine. Main man, step up. Do you think that's where we need to be killers more?
It's interesting from Havertz, like we talk about the record and he's the number 9.
Yeah.
It's not a killer instinct. A lot of strikers would have been like, hang on, mate, give me the ball here. Yeah. I'm on for the record. I'm the centre forward. I'm taking it. And I think that probably sums up Kai Havertz as a sort of player. He's very selfless, brings others into the games, and he's maybe not that ruthless number 9. You know, is there any chance Erling Haaland would have gone, someone else can take that? They're grabbing the ball and taking it. And maybe that's Kai as a personality, and maybe that's why he's so good. But it did find it interesting for me that when he's on for that record, he's not saying that I need to be taking this.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's slightly selfish for myself. For him, I just wanted him to take because I just wanted the 2-0 because I wanted to relax in the game. But so I'm not looking any deeper than that. And I just felt that actually he's our best option, so our best option should take the penalty. That's it for me.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I just think as well, when you look at the Arsenal atmosphere, not name dropping it, but I've had the chance to be in their presence a little bit. And one thing that I noticed is how much of a team they are.
Yeah.
most people go, of course, Joel, they're a team. No, like their spirit amongst each other is like I've never seen. So, and I think sometimes that might be a little bit to their detriment because they, you know, they want everyone to do well. There can only be one. There can only be one.
But why do you think then, if there's someone on for record, why do they not say, I'll do it? But seriously.
It could have been they were thinking maybe possibly Trossard needs this penalty. He also had the difficult game at Bournemouth. He's had the red card. Maybe they're thinking, look, this would be a good moment for him to possibly get a goal.
I didn't sense it, to be honest. When he stood up, I thought, a bit surprising, but we'll score. And we didn't score. Yeah, and it's like, okay, now we've got another few more minutes of nerve. So I didn't look much deeper than that. But afterwards, when I saw back the record, I thought, what are we doing? Let's do it properly. And that was my feeling.
But overall, is it that much of a big deal?
Not really. Not with the points
game
that we have. Maybe not in that game. And I'm not looking any deeper than the fact that I just wanted Havertz to get that goal. Simple as that.
Fair enough.
Simple as that.
So then I just want to say, obviously, there are clearly mitigating circumstances at the moment when we look at the injury list. But do we still need to improve our attacking intent when we're missing these key forwards?
Yeah. We need some goals.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think obviously the answer is yes, but I do also think we've been very fortunate with injuries in the last few years. And I just kind of think that when things are on a high, you need to prepare for when they're on a low, in terms of injuries. I just think our squad, I look at it and I think very good players, but I always feel like we're a little bit too light. And I always feel like you might have those periods where 2 or 3 injuries to key players could just mess everything up. And I think that's where the panic from the fan base or the frustration or the fear comes from, because we've always had a Saka, you know, and he's been brilliant for us. Last season, Kai, excellent. You know, Saliba, yeah, he got injured a couple seasons ago and we saw how everything, you know, collapsed and stuff like that. But we've been really blessed having fit players. And I just think, I wonder if we're prepared for Odegaard not being there, Saka not being there. Like, that's my issue when I look at the team.
Because we looked like we were prepared at the beginning of the season, but then were we actually? Because I remember we were talking, you know, the first show, that we felt prepared, we thought we had all these backups, and then, I mean, what's happened since?
I think as a fan base, the environment around the team isn't as positive as it maybe should be, because I think we are got this aura of Man City around us, and I think it affects us. I think we're too attracted to the first 11 or to the concept of the first 11. So when those first 11 players not there, I think we over panic. I see rotation in other teams. I don't see the same panic. I just don't see it. There are some things that we can't overcome. I don't think we can overcome major injury and go to 10 men 3 times in 8 games. I think that's just it. We didn't overcome that. I think there were things we could have done better at Bournemouth, for example. That's the one game I have issues with. But we can't continue to overcome the deficiencies we've got with guns, players not on the pitch and the injured at the same time. So as a fan base for me, there's pressure and there's almost self-induced pressure. We can relax around when certain players are not available. Then it takes the pressure off of us. So right now, some of the pressure with the media environment around Arsenal, around discipline, and the self-induced pressure we put on ourselves because of Man City, I think it's a problem. And it's not a positive environment from which to build from. Now, when I look at Arteta, I look at him, I don't think he's cutting through. He's just smiling away, right? I think he recognised the phase of the season that we're in. We're in a points accumulation phase. We're not in a flow phase when all our top boys are there. Accumulate, stay in touch. When everyone comes back, we can go from there.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the creativity thing, for me, I was hoping for the Tuesday game that we were going to see a bit of Ethan Nwaneri. Just kind of felt like, as a fan base, it feels like everyone is crying out for that spark, that someone to inject something. And I think every time he's been given opportunity, you know, off the bench, those cameos, Carabao Cup game against Bolton, he's passed the test for me. And I just thought, a home game, Champions League, if you put him alongside, you know, Rice, Moreno, Partey, senior players, maybe give him a chance to try and be that spark. Because this probably says a bit about the squad depth. He's the closest you've got to doing that Odegaard role, and I thought this might have been an opportunity just to give him a go. But maybe Arteta's thinking 17 years old, throw him in there.
100% that's what he's thinking. Because otherwise, he would have been perfect for it. And I'm not saying Arteta's wrong for that, but it's definitely what he's thinking. And I mean, with all these injuries and things, who knows? You might get your wish and see him play against Liverpool. But do you want that to happen? Is the question.
Against Liverpool? No. Shakhtar at home, I would have been happy seeing him have the chance.
So Simon, you mentioned Mikel Merino, and we've actually seen quite a bit of him so far. So how do you think he's performing at the moment?
He still looks like someone who's getting up to speed, I think. I think physically, I think he's getting used to the pace of the Premier League. He's obviously here before with Newcastle, but I think you can see in a few of those games, it's going to take some adjustment. I remember when Ceballos came here and was talking about playing at Anfield, and he was like, I couldn't breathe. The pace of it was incredible. And I think Mourinho's going to take time to get up to that. I think what he is going to give, though, is even more physicality in the middle of that park. And I think when you've got that Odegaard there, that combination of Rice and Moreno next to him, I think will be so strong. I think I was a bit concerned against Bournemouth with Partey, Rice and Moreno. I think it was a little too functional. But I think when he gets fully up to speed, I think having another ball winner there, another destroyer to break up the play, I think he'll be a really good fit. And I think he'll be that player who sort of flies under the radar, no one notices, and then looks at his stats and goes, okay, well, actually, this guy's doing a lot of work that we're not seeing.
Do you reckon he'll be a better 8 than Rice?
I don't think he might not be as good as going forward as Rice was. I think Rice was actually going along at a point with goals and assists that was impressive, but I think his left-footedness...
Clive made a face. What was that face about?
No.
Is it the water?
I just smashed in the water.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think his left-footedness will give balance to that side that I think didn't get with Rice. I felt like Rice was naturally wanting to come inside and almost play away from Martinelli, and I think Moreno, that will be a big thing that he will bring. I think
so,
more balance.
Would you start in midfield? Would you have Rice, Moreno, and Odegaard ahead of Partey, Rice, and Odegaard?
Yeah, if everyone was fit, that would be my dream.
Yeah, that's a big call, you know.
But that's the call that a lot of fans are making.
Really?
Absolutely. And that's about what I call we're too obsessed with getting to the first 11 really, really quickly. Because you look at it contractually, that is the team. Those are the three we're invested in for the future. Those three players. Now, my opinion, I don't think I'm going to talk about Bournemouth, Talia, but I can't hold it, right? So
it's coming, but you can't wait.
The balance of the midfield was wrong against Bournemouth. So we had 7 players for me happy behind the ball, and we had 3 forwards, right? So that wasn't optimal for an away game. So I thought that was an error. So I think we invested in Merino that day to get him up to speed. You know, we made that choice. Now, I think there were better ways to go about it. And then when we had the 10 men, we don't know the actual plan of the game because the 10 men took that away. So we don't know if we're going to settle the game down and then bring attackers on and win it late. Like we did at Villa, you know, we did it very, very well there. So that's the issue for me. So for Merino now, he's not looking fit. He's got a pair of Doc Martens on. He's running around. He's all a bit heavy, right? So, but he's a good player. I have no doubts about it. He's a good player, and he will get there. What system? I think is to be defined, but that's okay because he can do deep job. He can do high both sides. It's just all about the overall balance. I think it's important.
Going back to 10 men, yeah. Do you think we should prepare for those scenarios more? Or do you reckon it's just there's not enough time in the week? Or do you think we do prepare for it?
I think, let's go back to them, shall we? So the Brighton one, I felt we had about 7 or 8 minutes before we adjusted. Then we went to almost like a back 4 with a front 4 diamond. Sorry, back 5 with a front 4 diamond. I really like that system for that day. And we got chances late on. I really like that. So go to a 5 straight away, have 1 in front, and then 2 wingers tucked in, and then a forward in like a diamond shape. Really loved it. Took too long to get there, right? So that was the issue there. Against Bournemouth, I felt when you already pick 7, I call behind the ball players, and then you lose somebody, a defender, you've still got 6 defensive players on the pitch that you could move and adjust. And I felt for Sterling coming off. You know, he wouldn't have lasted the whole game, but to lose an offensive player, I thought it sent the wrong message. And so, but we're judging the games based on events that none of us could foresee. You know, they're all surprise events.
Yeah.
And so I feel almost like harsh in saying that, but I can only say what I see, right? So that adjustment is quite tough, and we haven't got it right every time.
So then before we move on to the Bournemouth chat, and let's wrap up Champions League. So obviously our position remains strong with 7 points from a possible 9. We go away to Inter next, and this is a game that's sandwiched between Newcastle and Chelsea away. So will it be a priority to get something from that game?
I don't think so. I think in the new format, that Inter game is not as big a game as it would be in the group stage. If this was the traditional group stage and Arsenal and Inter in the same group, you'd be looking at that game as like, this is going to decide who's going to top the group. And now, in reality, for Arsenal, they've got 4 games after that. They think it'll be 15, 16 points to get in the top 8. So, I mean, even if you went to Inter and lost, you still got 12 points to come and play for 2 games at home. I just think this format, and I think it partly contributed to the atmosphere a bit on Tuesday at Shakhtar. Yeah. The jeopardy doesn't feel like it's there. And even with the fans, you're not really sure where, like, if you're leaving the stadium on Tuesday night and you ask someone there, or where are you in the league phase? I'm not sure many supporters would have known where they were.
No, I had to Google it, if I'm honest, really quickly before we went on air. But I think you're right as well. And I think what's beautiful is, because we got the 3 points, it takes off massive pressure. Like, I do also think that Italian teams, I'm not really rating them like what they were before, like, if I'm honest. No, and not the same team, but even what Liverpool did to AC this year, I just thought, my goodness, what's this, the San Siro? But yeah, I think we'll be comfy. I don't expect a loss. And see a draw or even a win when we go there.
Yeah, this whole... I watched Inter Milan versus City, and I must have caught the good bits when they were breaking on them because I didn't look at the overall statistics. And they look quite promising on the break, but they're playing at home, right?
I was going to say, was it?
They're playing... it was at City. So they're playing at home against us. So obviously, I expect us to be competitive, right, and do well. But I'm not sure how much it matters. A draw will be good. I don't want to lose a game. Draw will be good. But not losing would be really good. But I have to say, this format's bothering me because the PSG home game should be a memory that stay with me forever. In the old format, that doesn't leave me. In this format, there's more joy to be had. Do you know what I mean, from winning that game? Because they would be one of the...
The team's changed though, Clive.
Well, the PSG get team.
Yeah,
I know.
I think that's why. It's not the same. And if you're looking at even their players like currently playing, they're obviously in a new phase at the moment,
But in the old days, they'd be the pot 1 team, we'd be the pot 2 team. But to beat the pot 1 team, fantastic. We're on our way to qualifying top of the table. In this game, it's like, okay, a PSG team that actually very promising, but actually younger than us. Quite young. And so we weren't it didn't have the same cachet as it would have done previously.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Bournemouth game now, and let's dissect that loss and where it leaves us. So obviously we know what went wrong. The conversation around the red card has been done to death, so we're not going to try and go into it too much. But let's talk about the performance with 10 men. Simon, what did you make of it?
I was a bit like Clive was saying about taking off an attacking player for another defensive player. For me, kind of near enough where I just wondered if there was a way you could sort of manage it to half-time, and maybe you've obviously got Partey and Marino, if you could just drop Rice into centre-back where he's even played there once for Arsenal, and just try and get to half-time, and then you've got the 15 minutes to try and work out the game state. I do think with 10 men, we've seen how good Arsenal are defensively, obviously that Man City game, but scoring in all those 3 games have not scored a goal. And I kind of feel like the balance is not quite being found when playing with 10 men, which is a weird accusation you have to have, but it's a topic we have to have because it's happened 3 times in 8 games. But that balance isn't quite there. And I felt in that game when Sterling went off and Kiwior came on, already a team that looked quite functional midfield, quite defensive, shifted even more. But Arteta will argue, the game 0-0, Martinelli has that chance, you score that, plans execute perfectly. So these are the sort of small moments it comes on. But for me, I just wondered in that period before half-time, if you could get Rice in there and just manage it, and then you can tweak it at half-time for what you think for the next 45.
Joel's making a face. I have to ask.
I was just thinking, the plan wasn't to be playing with 10 men for 28% of our games so far, or whatever that
I don't think
is.
it was our plan for 3 games.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you look and you go, look, obviously we can sit here and go, it could be managed better, which it should be. But then at the same time, let's stop making silly mistakes, guys. I just think Saliba could have got there even if he hadn't done what he had done. When you go back
just let him go through.
Just let him go, or if you go back to the Declan Rice one, did you have to do that? Or you look like we can talk about if buts and maybes all the time. Just learn from it. Declan said it himself in the post-match interview. we just need to stop making silly mistakes because that's 2 games now that we should have won. I look at that Brighton game and I think we really should have won that game. And you look at Bournemouth and already that's 6 points. And if you got 6 points, especially in this situation, and you know City aren't even top, you're healthy. Couple mistakes, you now got Liverpool fans dropping me DMs before Sunday. It can change just like that.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not over the Brighton one still. I mean, literally, how can you get someone sent off by the corner flag? Look, I've got my thoughts on it, whether it should or shouldn't be, but no one cares. They don't care out there. They don't care. It's up to us to stop doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
That's literally it. It's up to us to take care of it. Whether we're being harshly treated or not, no one's interested. We're Arsenal Football Club. We need to just get on with it and get better. And so, yeah, the Brighton one hurts. That's 2 points dropped there. Bournemouth, we weren't super sharp before that, but we weren't under any threat anyway.
I said 6 points. I thought
it
felt like a loss.
It feels like 6 points.
Oh my gosh!
If you had the Man City game on, it is 6 points, right? It is 6 points. And the Man City one, hey, we were on top at 2-1 just for half time. The events changed. But if we draw that game 2-2, I don't think any of us would say, oh, we threw it away, you know, because they're quite a good side, right? So, but the Bournemouth one and the Brighton one, they hurt. They hurt a little bit. And so, yeah, we just got to get over it. And the way you get those points back is by beating big teams like Liverpool. So,
I mean, the brutal point of it is that with 11 players on the pitch, 15 points from 15.
Yeah.
With 10, it's 2 from 9.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
That is quite brutal, when you say it like that.
On that cheery note, there you go.
Yeah, to liven everyone's spirits. Thank you very much. So obviously, while we are on the Bournemouth game, do you think that we should have changed things sooner in the game, or was it too late?
There's lots of options, isn't there? So my option on the day, to be straight up, I was thinking Kiwior, left back, Calafiori centre half, and I was thinking take Marino out and keep Sterling on. So you're taking out a functional player, keep on an offensive player. But if you want to say, if the coach says to me, I want my back 4 in place, I can live with that. That seems to me like a football decision. Other people will say, what you said, Simon, move right back and move Partey to right back and have Marino in front. There were so many things we could have done. I'm not sure I'd have chosen that one, if I'm honest with you. But who am I, right?
The changes felt like they were a bit too late when the second goal went in, I think. Kind of like Jesus and when I think both sort of bright when they came on, but when it went to 2, it kind of felt like that was a throw of the dice from Arteta, wasn't it? Have a last go, and maybe when it went to 1, that's when he should have thought, okay, let's have a go for it now. And it just felt like a game that sort of, drifted out of reach.
So we're also going to discuss the red cards, seeing as we're on it. There's obviously a lot of narrative about how many we've had under Mikel Arteta. We've obviously discussed the last 3, but there's been quite a few. What are your guys' thoughts on that then?
Do this to me.
We can bring up the key ones as well.
We were talking before, weren't we? Trying to remember some of the interest. I mean, Martinelli at Wolves was the one I remember, which was, pretty unprecedented, where he sort of delayed the throw-in and then brought the player down and got 2 yellow cards in the space of 10 seconds. Tomiyasu at Palace, start of last season. They're not an aggressive team. That's the thing. They're not like...
Not dirty.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We just need to. We need that siege mentality where it's almost like what Jose Mourinho used to do with Chelsea. It's us against them, boys. And as long as you know that, you can work on. Okay, you know they're going to give us a hard time. You know, but it has to be something that's on our mind. I think we want to win so much, which is great. But we're almost not controlling our emotions, and you have to be smart. You know players are going to go down. You know that if you kick the ball out a little bit, after the whistles, but these are things you should anticipate that the referee's not going to be on your side. So don't give him an opportunity. And that's just, for me, it's just that maturity that you need. I think that's what a lot of the great sides when they won it. Yes, if you look at Man United, they used to have this thing where they'll pressure the referee so that next time the referee makes a call, if it's against you, the referee's under pressure to act on it. And if you don't act on it, you'll have all their big players letting you know. I just think we need to develop what works for us and just remember that, look, we're not going to get joy, so we need to work our way around it. That's all I've got to say about it.
Clive, go on. Go on, let me hear you.
Well, we have scars, don't we? We have scars from last season. And the scars were like the Fulham home game, drawing 2-2 against 10 men. These scars stay with you. drop points for whatever reason, stay with you, right? So Fulham at Christmas, West Ham. 77 touches in the box, we end up losing the game 2-0, right? These things stay with you when you end up on a fantastic run in 2024 and lose the league by 2 points, where you lose basically one home game in all that period. Then you look back to the issues that scar you. And losing these points now, for whatever reason, they just open up those scars a little bit. Open up those scars thinking, we dropped points last season this time, we're dropping points for these reasons this time. So I'm now in that place where I'm now concerned. Well, I'm concerned. And we can't allow ourselves to get into that place. I know it's difficult because I'm already in it. And I'm saying that thinking, well, I'm actually in it right now. So, but we can't let that manifest itself. So come the weekend, all we can do is support this support. And but it's difficult. It is difficult, but we've got to stay positive and hope the red card thing settles down. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say we refine our discipline, just stop being stupid. And then don't give them anything. Don't give anybody anything. Mm-hmm. And it's got to Arteta, let's be honest, guys, he took Ben White off on Tuesday because he didn't want to go out of 10.
Was that an injury thing?
No.
Or was that? I thought it was his brain.
No,
he literally said, I've played with 10 men enough to...
Yeah, he said it in the press conference.
I mean, fair play to him for being pragmatic, but...
Yeah, the referee was really good. I watched that game, actually, for my sins. I watched the game, and Ben White made a foul against the number 7, and the referee spoke to him early. And then he made another foul against him, and he booked him. And I love seeing that transparency of refereeing. And refereeing in the Champions League is so much better. There's no agendas, there's no history of, I know what this player is. It's just the event they're managing. And it feels clean, it feels clearer. There's more transparency on all the work they're doing. I thought the referee was excellent in the week. I thought the handballs were, even that was a little bit funny, the handball. But apart from that, he was excellent. And I just want to look at a game now and not look at us being silly and not look at a referee who I know where he lives in Manchester. I just want to look at a game with clear eyes. You know, so.
The interesting thing was Arteta actually, as you can imagine, the press conference on Monday was a lot about discipline. And he was asked, early on in your reign, you had a lot of red cards, and what did you do to solve it? And he sort of said, he did video clips, spoke to them, and then in the end, he said the best thing was just not talking about it.
Yeah.
Stop talking to the players about it, stop making it be an issue. And that was what he said was the solution. Then they tried all this thing, analysing the red cards, talking around the thing, and in the end it was like, just stop. We're now almost creating this a thing where...
He needs to tell the players to stop as well. But yeah.
So basically no one's talking about red cards in dressing rooms at the moment. No one. But you made a really good point, Clive. These red cards and these losses, they do slowly unpick the scars and they trigger us. But obviously we don't want to stay in that mindset. So we're going to move on to the Liverpool game now and try and come away from this triggered mindset we're in. So while we're on the Liverpool game, obviously it's Arsenal versus Liverpool at the Emirates this weekend. I've seen a number of people saying that this is an absolute must-win for Arsenal. Do you agree?
Yes, because I think we showed last year that when you win these type of games, especially your home games, you put yourself right up there at the end of the season. And that's exactly what we did. We beat Liverpool at home last season. I know United were nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. But we beat them. We beat City at home. When you're winning all these important key games, smash Chelsea a couple times. Like when you're winning those kind of games, it just puts you in a better position. And then obviously you can't afford to lose the smaller games as we've seen, because the smaller games are the ones that hurt us. But with this Man City team that are relentless and then they hit this form in January, February, you want to be in a good position by the time that comes. And this season, you've got Onslaught and these boys involved in it as well. So you just need to make sure that you grab what you can at home.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. The atmosphere around Liverpool is really serene. Mm-hmm. They've got this new manager come in. He's got a nice system of play. And they've had a nice, steady start, quite a comfortable start from difficulty point of view. And they come in with a lot of serenity. They're winning football matches in a nice way, not by smashing people, just by the odd goal. And then Arsenal, we're all over the place. We've got injuries, we've got suspensions. and it's like, why? We just, I think it is important to win the game. And it's really important not to lose it, if I'm honest with you. It's really important not to lose it. But it'd be great to win it, because it just reset things a little bit. Mm-hmm. Reset things in our minds to say, hey, we're okay. We're in contact. it's really strange. I'm going to say something else. I'm not sure how much it scans, but there have been times when Man City have started seasons like this. And we've all gone, oh, they're just there in the background, ready and waiting to come through later in the season. No one's worried at Man City. They're going to hit form. They don't top the running stats early in the season. They just chug around the pitch, getting points. They stay in touch. Then they go, bang, hit the pedal. Because we've not done anything yet, because we've not won the big ones yet, the trust index of Arsenal isn't really there for us to say, don't worry, lads, we're 4 points behind. It's going to be okay. So we're in a different place. And it's interesting to see how we go. I just can't wait till the team comes back.
But they've got two teams, Clive. That's the difference. Yeah. They've got two teams, man. Like, if you ain't got Kevin De Bruyne, it's absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? You've still
That's
got
a good point.
Rodri, you've still got all your other players. So I thought we were going to win the league as soon as Rodri was injured. I was like, yes, but we have to worry about ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
My concern with the Liverpool game is just who's going to play in that defence after Calafiori went off on Tuesday. Obviously, Timber missed the game. No Tomiyasu, who's got a very good record against Salah when he plays up against him. And I'm trying to think of a worse team to play when you've got a full-back crisis. And I'm not really sure there is other than Liverpool. So, I mean, that for me feels huge, who you play at the full-backs against, Salah and probably Diaz or Gakpo.
So we've spoken about the injury list. So do you think Arsenal can win if they are without, and it's a list indeed, Saka, Calafiori, Timber, and then Saliba and Odegaard?
Ooh.
I know.
It's close to half.
It's a list indeed.
Yeah.
Half your
Worse
first
when
team.
you say
It's
it.
pretty close to, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 of those players are in team of the season, last season, so they're not scrubs, so they can play. So yeah, I'm hopeful that Saka will get there. If I'm honest with you, that's the chat online.
What have you heard?
I'm not going to say what I've heard. But I'm hopeful. It's out there, is it, Simon? It's out there that he's hopefully in a good place the weekend. Not certainty yet. No news on Timber, and Calafiori news is a little bit negative. So that's as of today, but we'll see. Can we do it? I'd like to see Saka back. That would be interesting to get Saka back in. And I'd like to see Timber back. If you give me 2 of the 5, for me, those are the 2 that could make it, I would be okay. I think we could do it, but we need those 2.
Timber v Salah for me would be a very... If I was picking someone to go against Salah, I think he'd be, out of all the defenders, I think he'd be the one you'd want.
Yeah.
So what's your answer? Because you said who you want back, but what is your actual answer here?
Well, if buts and maybes, right? If we don't have those 5, it's all on, isn't it? Let's be honest. Right? It's all on. It's going to be tough. But I'm not going to say we're not going to win, because I still think we'll come up with something. But if you lose 5 of your top quality players, any team,
It's tough.
it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
This isn't Disneyland, right? This is real, and they would go for us, wouldn't they? They see it as opportunity, and they would go for us. But let's see what they're like when they're tested. Because against Chelsea, they were good. I thought they were efficient, but there were still cracks there, right? So let's see.
Clive, what do you think of Liverpool then this season?
Well, I think they're okay. I like what he's done. I've got to be honest with you. I think he's changed, to have the bravery to change the dynamics of a team, to create different pace within the team, gears of build-up. They go slow, they go quicker, they go up, set and back, and then go through on the sides. They use Salah in a way, they want to use him as a playmaker, but then he sneaks into the box and he can finish. And they found something that I didn't think they had in Gravenberch. They found a player out of nowhere. They lost out on Zubimendi, and I thought, they're in trouble now. They're in trouble now. And suddenly I just put him back there, and I think he's a fantastic option for them. Yes. And he has been tremendous. So that's my worry, really. They've found their midfield. They've got 6 great attackers, and their defenders have been together for 8 years. Right? So it's going to be tough, right?
Hey. I need some. No refill. Where's the producer?
Do you think physically, without the ball, Gravenberch is good enough to be that, number 6 in a title-winning team?
I think at the moment he's got a lovely little let the ball run past him move. So he's got that move, and he can progress, and it's nice. But I didn't think he'd be as good as he has been. However, I do think that we we can test them. And for me, the areas to test them is in the fullback areas. They're great players. You know, Trent is a generational player. Let's be honest, he can be got at. He can be got at.
Agreed.
Robertson is not the player he was 3 years ago.
Agreed.
You know, Madueke had a good time with him the other day, right? So that's the area where I want to see us go. And everything we do and we play, we flow for the team and we go there or we go there. And when we get there, then we join. Right? So it's important to have Saka and Martinelli play. And when they play, Liverpool will be very concerned about them, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll be honest with you. I'm not filled with confidence when you said how good Liverpool have been, because they've been really good. And I think even when you look at their centre backs, Virgil and Konate, I have a lot of respect for them because, let's be honest, when you've got those two wingers flying like that and still they're not really conceding, you know? I think they've conceded, was it 3 this season or something so far, which is very impressive in the league anyway, I believe. So, yeah, when you look at that and you look at how they're shaped up and Gravenberch and, you know, I'm always wary of Jota. You know, he's usually done well against us as well. I think it's one of those ones there where we're just going to have to be fighting. We really are going to have that dog in us to say this is our home. Because if you was to put our current 11 with the injuries versus theirs, I do think they trump us. But we have to use that home advantage and the experience that we've had from the last 2 seasons. That's the only way that I can see us winning the game. I will be disappointed if we draw, in a sense where you want to win those games overall. But on paper, I can understand if we end up drawing the game.
Martinelli, I think, will be key because he so often has a good game against Trent. You know, really direct, goes at him, uses his pace. Obviously, we spoke about him being in great confidence. I think he will have a massive part to play, particularly if, you know, Arsenal are trying to play a bit on the counter a bit more than they normally would. That will be the outball over Trent. And if Trent wants to tuck in, it's going to leave space for Martinelli.
Yeah.
So then let's have a look at the last 5 Premier League games at the Arsenal between Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool with the 2 wins to Arsenal's 3 in the past 5 seasons. And then in the last 2 seasons, Arsenal have beaten Liverpool at home and earned a point away. What do you think of that?
Well, we haven't cracked Anfield yet, and that is one of the to-do things on our list. Like I say, with our normal team, I'll be pretty confident. I think we make big steps. There was a time when Liverpool, not so long ago, would come and we'd all be sitting there thinking, okay,
it's 3-0, mate.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble here. We're in trouble. And they were physically bigger than us. I remember Van Dijk playing against Lacazette, just standing there on the halfway line. I'm thinking, this is going to be a long day. You know, it's going to be a long day. And so yeah, but we've changed. You know, we've changed. And to watch Kai Havertz play against their centre-backs last year, he had them. Konate got sent off. He had them. He had them running. And so we've got the ability to impact their back line, and they know it. They know it. And so their goalkeeper, okay, he's a good goalkeeper, but he's not the goalkeeper who's the best in the world. And so...
he's pretty still up there, though.
He's good. He's good. And Jota, I'm not sure how healthy Jota is, Joel, so let's hope, because he is a good player for them against us. He always turns up. So yeah, I'm hopeful, but it comes down to health and fitness, I'm afraid. It really does. That dictates my confidence level. In that hour and 15 minutes, when that team comes up on the phone, it's gonna be a lot of people looking to see what that looks like.
The mindset has definitely shifted, though. I think you know, the discussion we had there saying, you know, the players out injured might have a chance. A few years ago, probably would have said that when everyone was fit, said, oh, maybe we've got a chance. So that's literally where the bar has moved to. I think the performance at Anfield just before Christmas last year, where they dug in, really gritty, got a point where, again, how many times have Arsenal rolled over at Anfield? And I do agree with Clive. I think when that team sheet drops an hour and 15 before, and the fans see who's in it, and if they see Saka in there, see a few other players in there, that will dictate what the atmosphere is like. And I think that is honestly the biggest moment of the weekend, when that team drops and we see who's playing.
And quickly, what about you two? If you could pick any of those 5 players, who would you want?
I think Saka, first and foremost. For me, you need him fit. That is our star boy. I was, after the Euros, I was dying for us to get a forward player in his position. I was crying, he can't play again, and it's hardly taken a break since 2021. You know, but he came back, and what a start. And he's just shown to me that people love to have that debate whether he's world class or not. My answer is I don't care. as long as he carries on doing what he's been doing for Arsenal. And secondly, maybe Calafiori, because of his versatility. And I think he's just such a good player. So I would love to have those two. I'll be a lot more confident you've got those two. If not Calafiori, Timber as well, like what Clive said earlier on. I love the way they do this thing where when we're taking goal kicks, he goes and he stands in between the two opposing midfielders, so that either for him to receive the ball or for him to be a distraction. I love when we're playing those tactical games. But yeah, I'll go for Calafiori and Saka.
I would be really tempted to say Timber for the tactical aspects against Salah, but I think I would say Saka, partly because of his leadership. I think he is now an absolute leader in this team. He's not a boy anymore. He's a man. He is a really big presence on that pitch. And also for the set pieces, to be honest. That delivery from his set pieces is so good. And in big games, we've seen Saka to Gabriel, and I would want him in the team. I mean, the other night we saw Trossard taking him with his left foot. That's how desperate they were for an in-swing corner. So for that, I'd have him. But I just think Saka, I think his role in this team is absolutely huge as a leader. And I think having him on the pitch on Sunday will be big.
Now let's get the Liverpool perspective. Joining us now is Liverpool fan and content creator Jamie Storey. Hey Jamie.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. How are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Feeling very happy at a few Arsenal fans. Feeling a bit scared for Sunday.
Oh yeah, we can see this coming. So we've just been looking at the recent meetings between the two sides. Your team has lost the last 2 league games at the Emirates, but coming into this one in good form. How are you feeling about the game this weekend?
Yeah, I think obviously with the injuries Arsenal have, there's obviously a lot of confidence there from Liverpool fans. But obviously travelling to the Emirates, we haven't had a lot of success recently. I think last season it was an even game, but I think Arsenal set up well, especially catching Liverpool out a lot in the counter attack, and probably deserved to win. I think Arteta did set them up well. But I think this season, the way Liverpool are playing at the minute with the confidence, Arsenal probably haven't started how they would have liked so far. The Bournemouth loss as well would obviously be a big blow, but I think Liverpool fans should have a bit of confidence going into the game on Sunday.
So on that point, then obviously Liverpool are full of confidence and Arsenal are coming into this game really quite depleted. Is this any extra pressure then on Liverpool to perform for this game?
Yeah, I think Roy Keane talked about this before, and he said when Arsenal went to the Emirates last year, to the Etihad last year, they said sometimes you have to go and beat a rival in a title match, and I think that's where Liverpool are coming into if they want to actually stamp down where they want to be come the end of the season. Obviously, Arsenal with a few injuries, it's a big opportunity for Liverpool to show what they're made of. And I think they have to take that chance. So I think the pressure will be there from within the Liverpool team themselves to show everyone that they want to be there come the end of the season.
Simon, do you have a question?
Yeah, we were chatting, Jamie, about Gravenberch and his sort of role in that number 6. How do you feel he's got on then? Do you think, we talk about Rodri and Rice and these big sort of physical presence, do you think he's got that side of his game to be able to compete in what is a big game like this?
Yeah, I think so far this season, I think the Chelsea and United games, he's performed well. I think Arsenal and City are going to be 2 different tests, and I wouldn't put him on the level of maybe a Rice or a Rodri at this stage. I think he still has a lot to prove, but the signs are there that he's going to be able to adapt in this team, and his performances, I'd say, haven't really dropped below a 7 or 8. Like I was at the San Siro game this year, and he was absolutely incredible that day as well. But I think he's still young. He's still learning that role, similar to the way Rice was learning it maybe at West Ham. He's learning on the job, and especially with the way we didn't get Zubimendi this summer, I think they took a little bit of pressure off him because we didn't really know what way it was going to work, and Slot identified something that not even Klopp seen last year, and it's been working really well. So I think this is the big test, and if he does it against Arsenal, then I think there's a lot of optimism there from Liverpool fans going forward that this could be a big year.
Jamie, Joel Beya here. Big Arsenal fan.
Hey, Joel.
Not a massive fan of Liverpool. Just wanted to let you know that everyone's praising you. Your team, you've done really well. Are you still suffering effects of thinking about the Nottingham Forest game by any chance? Just asking.
I don't know what you're talking about. That game was postponed. No, I think, listen, that game was a bit of a blip, but I think I gave Liverpool the wake-up call. I think in some games we've been good. Maybe our performances haven't really been 100%, but we're still getting over the line. And I think at the end of the day, that's what the main thing that we need, especially if we're going for a tight race against Arsenal and obviously Man City, which we both know full well don't drop many points. So we'll take the 1-0 loss, but if it means we still stay top of the league, then I don't mind that.
But do you honestly think you're going to win? That's the ultimate question.
Win on Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have full confidence. I heard you talking in the studio before as well. Talking about players that you wanted to bring in. The one player I wouldn't want to start, and I'm hoping that he doesn't, is Saka, because he's a match winner. But if he doesn't start, then you have Saliba, Calafiori, like Zinchenko against Salah. Like, it's a guaranteed win right there.
well, hopefully Nunes starts, mate.
Listen, you never know which Nunes you're going to get, so I'd say that carefully.
It's never the good one with us, mate. Go on.
Clive, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Jamie, obviously with Klopp going and Slot coming in, what do you think he's changed about how Liverpool play? Because Klopp's got such a huge personality. You can see his team all day. So now you guys come in and things feel different. What do you think he's changed in your mind?
Yeah, I think especially at the start of the season, some Liverpool fans were worried about the way we were going to play. And I think Slot, he's come out and he said he hasn't tried to change too much about what Klopp has done. There's still a bit of high energy about us. There's still the type of tempo that we want to play, but it's a lot more measured. We don't need to play that long ball or the chaos football that we've probably known to love under Klopp. And change can sometimes be difficult at times, but sometimes it's needed. Like a lot of times last season was very end-to-end games. We usually had to score 2 or 3 goals to win a game. Like remember last season against Arsenal when we conceded the first goal, then we had to start coming out a little bit more. We obviously got back into the game, but I think with Slot, what he's doing well is he's finding that balance right now. Joel, I think you said it as well, only 3 goals conceded so far in the league, the most clean sheets. We kept 10 clean sheets all of last season, and so far we have 5 in the league. So I think what Slot is doing is finding the balance, and I think that's really important. And then obviously the small adaptations around Gravenberch. And I think the big one as well, which a lot of people don't really talk about because he's doing well defensively, is Trent. Like I know Martinelli and Trent have obviously had a good few battles over the last few years, and Martinelli usually has got the advantage over him in some of the big games. But I think what Trent is doing really well this year is he's defending really well, and he's maybe not as involved going forward, but that's one of the reasons we've been so solid defensively. He did really well last week against Chelsea, and then the same against some of the big games. Like he did really well against United. So I think just keep doing what he's doing, keep the balance, and yeah, well, obviously we'll see where we land come the end of the season.
I think Trent's playing for the Real Madrid move, if I'm honest. And he's just one game away from a disaster defensively. So don't you worry about it. Hopefully it's Sunday.
It sounds like more hope, Joel, than anything else comes with.
Well, thank you very much for Jamie for joining us, and enjoy the game on Sunday. I want to wish you good luck, but I can't wish you too much luck. I think you understand.
No, that's all good. May the best team win. Cheers, guys.
May the best team win. I really, really like that indeed. And I just obviously have to mention that Zinchenko is injured as well, so we're not sure about where that's going to go. But Clive, does a win on Sunday then for Arsenal change the whole landscape?
It'll change my landscape. I think it'd be nice. Just seriously, I think it would be good. I think it's not. I don't want to say it's a statement win. I just think we need to see a win that really matters. Really matters. But I keep coming back to it. It's all about how we play and who plays. Honestly, I've got a lot of confidence if we have enough of our better players on the pitch, that we have a style of play we all know about, we have a collective spirit on and off the ball, we have a pattern of play that's well defined. So yeah, we are further along in our project, shall you say, than say Slot is. But so we should be able to impose that on them in our home game. So that's my feeling. So
can we do it?
Yeah, definitely can. Yeah, whether they will or not, I think it will depend a lot on the team. But from what this Arsenal side have shown, I think the mentality and the fight and the unity they've got is far greater than in previous years. Even that City game, where they painfully drew 2-2, I think they'll take belief in this game. And what it will do for this run coming up now, Chelsea away, Newcastle away, it feels big in terms of the momentum of this season to have that marker where if they got a result with players out, what it would do going into, coming up to the busy Christmas period as well, I think would be absolutely massive. So it feels like a huge moment in the season, I think.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, Arsenal have surprised me massively in a positive way. You know, there's no secret, back in the day I was a bit of an Arteta out fan. But I think he's proved me wrong so many times. Who am I to doubt him this weekend? So we'll just leave it as that.
Come on, guys. I feel like we need some more confidence in the room.
Arsenal.
I asked you this question and everyone kind of was very flat.
We're trying to be sensible and measured, aren't we?
We can be sensible, but we can also be really optimistic and full of hope.
Realistic or optimistic?
I don't know, optimistic.
Yeah. No, we can. We honestly can, but we're just honestly going to have to dig deep. What the guys are saying, it's true. Like, you know, it really depends on the injuries as well, because we're not coming up against some mugs, all jokes aside, you know, like fantastic record. We haven't even spoken about Diaz, you know, or Jota. So I think we're just going to have to be fully... Sorry, you did?
No. I said all right.
Yeah.
I need to sleep tonight.
Yeah, so we just have to be focused, no red cards, just play the game the way we trained this week.
I think we can do it, but maybe that's just the optimist in me. Well, anyway, guys, that's all we've got time for this week. A huge thanks to Clive Palmer, Simon Collings and Joel Beya. We'll see you next week, and remember, trust the process.